Notice is hereby given of the special meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 6 p.m. on the evening of Monday, September 11, 2023, in room 105 of the Administration Building, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey. The Board will move immediately into private session to discuss matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, including legal attorney-client privilege. The public portion of the meeting will resume following the private session. This meeting will not be live streamed. The purpose of this meeting is to transact special business of the Board and to transact any other business to come properly before the Board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Wednesday, September 6, 2023, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap Into Westfield, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Patty, can we have a roll call?
Sahar Aziz.
Here.
Rob Bonaccio.
Here.
Kent Diamond.
Here.
Brendan Galligan. Charles Delinas.
Here.
Leila Morelli.
Here.
Sonal Patel.
Here.
Kristen Sonic Schmeltz.
Here.
Mary Wickens.
Here. Kristen, can you lead us in flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I ask the Board to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, including legal attorney-client privilege, and be it further resolved that any discussion held by the Board, which need not remain confidential, and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Leila. Okay, at this point, we are now in executive session. Okay, we are moving upstairs to the conference room upstairs. No action will be taken during our executive session. During this portion of the meeting, members of the public are invited to address the Board of Education on any topic. The Board requests that individuals state their names and address for the record and asks that all remarks be directed to the Board President. The Board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the Board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The Board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the Board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the Board President may terminate the participant's statement. Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration.
Hello. I guess I'll go first. My name is Diat Terpstra. I'm from Jefferson Township, so not Westfield. Good evening. My name is Diat Terpstra, and I work full-time for the Council on American Islamic Relations New Jersey chapter. I am here this evening, in this weather, After a long day of community phone calls about immigration and potential watch list issues and employment discrimination, to fulfill our duty that Muslims who struggle to be part of the political process and are elected to office are treated fairly, just like everyone else. I am also a school board member in Jefferson Township, so I understand the reasonable concerns about attendance. However, the way that this has been conducted seems different than how I am acquainted with. Board members have a responsibility to fulfill their duties and serve the communities they committed to. But CARE is concerned with any chance that a Muslim elected official is being tossed out at the quickest possibility. I am aware that Board Member Aziz faced difficulty in getting scheduling accommodations in the past, and even tonight, when this hearing is supposedly her opportunity, she had to cancel a class on short notice. If someone is out of the country and a meeting is scheduled a few days in advance, that sounds like just cause to me. Was the substance of just cause ever considered by those who brought this forward? CARE New Jersey submitted an OPRA request for current and previous board members' attendance records to see if anyone else had a similar situation and was removed or not, and to look into whether those who have missed meetings or twice in a row have been warned equally. In New Jersey, where there are more Muslims elected to office than any other state in the nation, we are especially interested in a wider issue of how Muslims have been treated for their expression of free speech or their religious beliefs while in office. Tonight, we ask you to rescind the vote from next Tuesday's meeting to remove Board Member Aziz. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. BOE Rashid, Islamic Center of Union County, represent the Muslims in Union County and Westfield. Actually, I'm gonna not use my speech because I saw the paper, so I'm gonna talk in a positive point. We teach our youth, we teach our community to find 7 excuses to a person before they judge them or they vote against them for anything. And if they couldn't find 7 excuses, to try to find a way to make excuse for them. By saying this, our student, our children is the center point for us. We are here, we work hard to raise them and to educate them and give them the best systems. And not too long ago, I was here to congratulate Westfield for electing the first female Muslims in the Board of Education, and congratulate Westfield for their DE&I initiatives and turning corners, make people feel the diversity existed in Westfield, where for many years we have not felt it. The same people who I congratulate, they came back to me and told me, Dr. Rashid, what's going on? Did you read the news from Tab and Westfield? And I said, no, I looked at it and I said, then I saw that the event was actually on September 11th. Do you know what September 11th means to Muslims? September 11th, and the first of September 11th to Muslim is the anniversary where Islamophobia was born, where they feel like they are targeted. So they thought this event was designed and manufactured and planned on this day due to Islamophobia in Westfield. And I'm here, I want to help you to change it. So, and also, on the excuse for Ramadan, I personally sent the letter to educate all Union County schools, all the superintendents, how to deal with the students, how to deal with the colleagues, and how to educate them about the months of Ramadan, fasting, praying, night prayers, and all this stuff. And with the technology, with today's technology, actually, we can get a board member to give information to them, pre-meeting, post-meeting, due to the religions. You will never call a meeting on Yom Kippur. You will never call a meeting on Easter. Therefore, the team and the Muslims in Westfield, they feel Islamophobia existed. And therefore, we need to work together to turn around the corner. Then the emergency meeting, while the person in travel, and you board members know she's out of overseas. And you know, overseas there is gap in hours, 6-7 hours difference. Power is not normally there, internet is weak. So it was also, the perception was, is Islamophobia planning and manufacturing just to bring us here today to vote against her. Thank you very much.
I'm Bashar Asari. I've lived in Westfield at 239 Total Parkway since 2005. I've raised 3 children in the Westfield public school system. Actually, the reason I moved to Westfield in 2005, and I chose Westfield over a few other towns that surrounding Westfield, although I worked in Cranford, is because of the school system, because of the education system in Westfield and the reputation that it has. However, the actions of the board directed at Dr. Aziz in the recent weeks raised a major concern regarding the attitude of some of the members of the board towards Dr. Aziz, the only Arab and Muslim member of the board. Making a concerted effort to remove a highly qualified member like Dr. Aziz raises major concerns with the direction of the board. It's clear that there must be a hidden agenda at play when there is an attempt to remove a distinguished professor of law from the board of education based on absences that have reasonable and recognized excuses. Not all of the meetings had a vote taking place. I mean, she had not abandoned her duties at the board, but the second that members of this board decided to target her on 40 grounds, they abandoned theirs. I'm not sure what kind of environment these members are trying to create for our children, but I'm afraid what this means for the future environment at Westfield schools. Are we going to tolerate this intimidation of qualified professionals because of discrimination? It seems that the board member receiving the most scrutiny is Dr. Aziz. And as I have seen from previous meetings, Dr. Anthony Farage is being targeted as well by the community. Without a strong defense from the board of education to display that this conduct is well within, his conduct was well within the budgetary spending allotted to teachers. This has to do with ethnicity, not the board's rules. Manipulating the rules to target people is a gross abuse of power. Therefore, I request that Mr. Callaghan resign from his position on the board, since I can no longer trust that he will have the best interest of the kids of Westfield in mind when he takes the actions as a member of this board. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tova Fry, and I'm a member of Jewish Voice for Peace. And I was disturbed to hear about this attempt to remove board member Sahar Aziz from the board, and I'm happy to hear that by this document that the motion was rescinded. But despite that, when reading the whereases on this document, it's only because one of the 3 absences was considered excused when, from what I understand, other absences were related to what has already been brought up previously about the lack of recognition of Muslim holidays. And I think that at a time when we have such divisiveness in this country, and we have such a strong right wing out there that is trying to tear apart our schools and our school boards and ban books and everything like that, I think it's a time that we need to really be solid in standing up against all forms of discrimination, against Islamophobia, against black racism, against black Americans, and all of these awful things that are trying to turn our school boards into political combat zones. And I think it's important that we recognize that this board needs to be united against all discrimination, including discrimination in the form of Islamophobia. And the board needs to unite to have a solidified unified board so that the teaching that goes on in the school system is one that upholds justice and is against discrimination.
Hi, my name is Azra Bey. I actually drove from Trenton, but I live in South Brunswick. I felt very much compelled to be here. However, I also wanted to be somewhere else at a memorial service for the 9/11 victims. I'm actually surprised that this meeting is being held at the exact same time as a service in Westfield and other parts of other towns across New Jersey. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember the 9/11 victims. Thank you. So like I said, I've served on the school board in South Brunswick, and when I heard of this, I was just like, I've never heard of this, and I spoke to other board members that have served in the past, and they've never heard of a school board member being removed so, quickly in such a drastic measure. I actually want to know the reasoning of why such haste into removing a school board member. Usually, people should speak and converse, and maybe a warning could be given. But I just don't understand why we're here today. Like, why did we come to this point? And I don't think it needed to come to this point this quickly and so hastily. I'd like to hear from the board members of why they voted yes to discuss removing Sahara Aziz. Just like other people have said, she's very distinguished, a stellar person. I really don't understand what's going on and how we've gotten to this point of us being in this room. And what made you decide to rescind it? First you voted for it, and now today you rescinded it. I'd like to hear from all of you why you rescinded it too. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Zelly Thomas. I'm from Patterson, New Jersey. I'm a third grade math teacher in Patterson. And just a little share something to you today. I was teaching. Today is our third day of school. We started on Thursday. Probably some of you had those emergency half days on Thursdays and Friday too. And as I was teaching in front of some boys, one of them was like, "You're my favorite teacher." I'm like, "It's the third day of school. How am I your favorite teacher already?" All right. And another boy chimed in like, "You're my first boy teacher." Another one said, "Oh, you're my first boy teacher too." "Oh yeah, you're a first boy teacher." All right. And I obviously know I'm not only the first boy teacher, I'm also probably the first black boy teacher as well. Right. And that to me shows like diversity really matters. Like the kids really see it, they look up to it, you become their role model, you become like their father figure, your dad. So diversity really matters to a lot of people, whether it matters to you or not, it matters to someone. And I think that's really important, a message that should resonate to all of us today. When we think about diversity in our school districts and the diversity on our boards. Because diversity of perspectives, diversity of backgrounds are all very unique and all very important to help us, gather the best decisions for our kids, because that's what this is all about. When I was looking over this resolution, it really struck me as odd that when it came to the meetings that was allegedly missed, that the first meeting that July 18th that was counted as a missed meeting was one that was also excused because of a pre-planned trip. So it's confusing to me that if the first meeting was already excused, how did we actually get here in the first place? If the first meeting was already excused, then we would not have the 3 consecutive meetings to even vote on this to be her to be removed from the board in the first place. So I'm really curious about whether the board had all that information in the beginning in order to vote on this properly. And if you did have that information,
that the first meeting, July 18th, was already excused because it's a pre-planned. Why did you vote that way in particular? So I think my question to the board president is, was all this information given to the board members previously or prior to the vote so they could make an accurate vote on behalf of the school district and behalf of the students? Thank you for your time and have a great school year.
Kyle George, Westfield. 80% of success is showing up, as the saying goes. This has nothing to do with religion or ethnicity. As usual, Mrs. Ease has made it about that, and you're folding. I fully support the carried motion to remove Mrs. Ease from the BOE for her absenteeism, a remedy provided by law and BOE policy. I've used public records to provide objective empirical analysis of the BOE attendance. Out of fairness, I compiled all the data from the past year, from July 25th, 2022 until August 29th, 2023 for all BOE members. I used the officially ratified public meeting minutes. Here are my conclusions. Mrs. Ease has completely missed 48% of the BOE meetings with public minutes. She missed 11 of 23 meetings during that time. She's been late 22% of the time, 5 of 23 meetings, missing 144 minutes of meeting time. She has only been fully present 30% of the time. Her longest fully present attendance streak during the time period is 1 consecutive meeting. Every other BOE member has fully attended at least 61% of meetings. The mean full attendance rate is 76% and the median is 78%. You've all received a copy of this analysis. Now I'll make some comments. Earlier this year, Mrs. Ease missed 4 meetings in a row. The most recent stint of absences was 3 in a row. Issues with her attendance were previously raised by former member Beelan. When a member misses 3 meetings in a row, state law and BOE policy allows the BOE to take action to remove the member. The BOE has the right and obligation to determine if the absences were for good cause, a standard left up to the judgment of the board. The legal standard is just that the determination of good cause can't be arbitrary, capricious, or unreasonable. The data confirms that removing Ms. Aziz is not arbitrary, capricious, or unreasonable, has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. In the past year, nobody even came close to competing with Ms. Aziz for the most absent superlative. Now you have to decide if there was good cause or not. Ms. Aziz's reasons for missing the last 3 meetings were quoted in a Tap Into Westfield article. I'll summarize the reasons as July 18th travel, August 22nd work, August 29th work. Taking a summer vacation to the beach is not good cause. But that's fine, that's why you get to miss 2 in a row before there's a problem with the 3rd. The August 22nd absence was attributed to the first day of classes at Rutgers. However, public records show that Mrs. Ease is only teaching 1 morning class on that day, a class which ended 5 hours before the BOE meeting. The August 29th absence was also attributed to work, a matter she could only email you about at 8:59 p.m. after the motion to vote on removal had carried 6-1. Mrs. Ease is a busy person. Between her book tours, indoctrination of Rutgers students, and her tweeting, she has a lot on her plate. That doesn't make these reasons good cause. You should approach these claims of good cause, especially the hurried excuses after the fact, with the same skepticism you'd give a student if they claim their pet ate their homework.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, I close public comment. I'd like the board to approve the motion to add a resolution. The following resolution. Whereas New Jersey law, specifically NJSA 18A:12-3, states in relevant part, any board member who fails to attend 3 consecutive meetings of the board without good cause may be removed by it. And whereas board policy number 0145, entitled Board Member Resignation and Removal, provides that a member who fails to attend 3 consecutive meetings of the board without good cause may be removed from office on the affirmative votes by the majority of the remaining board members, providing that 1, the member's removal was proposed at the immediately previous board meeting, and 2, notice of the proposed removal was given to the affected member at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting at which the vote will be taken. And whereas the Westfield Board of Education values board member participation and expects its board members will make themselves available to attend board meetings regularly so that the board's obligations under the law can be met. And whereas board member Sahar Aziz missed 3 consecutive board meetings up to and including August 29, 2023, and whereas based on this legal authority and in good faith to provide said board member the due process afforded in policy 0145, the Board of Education approved a resolution that a board hearing be afforded to said board member prior to vote at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. And where it has come to the attention of the board that the July 18th, 2023 meeting, the first of the 3 consecutive board meetings leading up to August 29th, 2023, was a special meeting of the board where said board member advised prior to the meeting that she would not be able to attend due to a pre-planned trip abroad. And whereas the board has determined that advance notice and an excused absence of a special board meeting is not consistent with the purpose or intent of board policy number 0145, and therefore be it resolved that the resolution approved on August 29th, 2023, providing for a hearing of the board and a vote on the removal of said board member is hereby rescinded, with no further action required by the Board of Education and/or said board member. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Leila. Patty, can we have a vote? This is on just the add. Just add. The vote is just add.
Sahar Aziz,
Yes.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Ken Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan, Charles Delinas,
Yes.
Layla Morelli,
Yes.
Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic Schmelz,
Yes.
Mary Wiggins.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve that resolution. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ken. Is there any discussion?
Should you want me to go first? I'd like to read a prepared set of statements, if that's all right. First, I wanted to thank Board President Sonal Patel and the other members present for convening this meeting, even on this most solemn of days. I think this is an important agenda item to address decisively, and I think this meeting is evidence of that. I want to take a moment to discuss the thought process by which I voted no on last month's motion for the board to vote on Sahar Aziz's potential removal at our later September 19 meeting, and why I will be voting yes to rescind that motion today. That is fundamentally that the administrative consequences must always fit the infraction, or in more common parlance, the punishment must fit the crime. But here, it resolutely does not. In this case, the alleged infraction presented to us, that is 3 consecutive unqualified absences without adequate prior notice, was not a proven fact to all of us at the time the resolution was made. And there was not sufficient knowledge among all of us to engender a discussion in regard to possible removal. And now we've been given even more facts that there may not have actually been a sufficient number of consecutive unqualified absences at all. I also believe that the process by which we could have determined the accuracy of the alleged infractions would have been significantly impaired by the presumptions established in the motion itself for removal, potential removal rather, than say an inquest or a hearing or a discussion. This certainly may not have been anyone's intent when the original motion was voted upon, and even at that meeting some questions about due process and fact-finding were raised by board members. But it might well have rendered the actual proceeding and vote on the question entirely inequitable. In addition, the ultimate administrative consequences that would ultimately stem from the initial vote last month, namely a removal or expulsion from the board, however many steps down the road it may have been, reflect profoundly undemocratic measures. These actions would have been against the wishes of the majority who voted Sahar into office in the first place. That's not to say such a consequence should never be imposed for board member infractions when extreme circumstances demand this type of vote. But I think we should take such steps thoughtfully and carefully and with extreme hesitation. In this case, such a consequence would naturally attend to an infraction much greater than what we are presented with now in respect to Sahar, if any such infractions are even present. Sahar has been a thoughtful and impassioned contributor to the processes of the board, with her intelligence and forthrightness and her well-reasoned sense of justice brought to bear on numerous topics, from DEI initiatives to finance questions, from curriculum issues to health and safety concerns, to the larger infrastructure topics we desperately need to address, like full-day kindergarten and the maintenance of our older school buildings. The board, the school district, the community, and most importantly our students would be worse off without her contributions. Even when she might be a voice of dissent in our debates, even when there's strong disagreement with her positions, her contributions still help refine all of our thinking and hone our decision-making when it comes time to vote on agenda items. I think this is vital. With that, I plan to vote yes tonight, and I hope other members will vote similarly. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other discussion points?
I'd like to make. So first, I want to extend a warm welcome back to school to all of our students, teachers, and staff. I hope you and your families were able to enjoy summer together at camps, including our very own Westfield STEM camp. Enjoy family travel within, inside, and outside the United States, and time together at home. I personally had the privilege of traveling to my place of birth, Egypt, on a family vacation during the months of July and August, and enjoy Egypt's beautiful Mediterranean coast with my extended family. Now, having now served more than 2 years on the Westfield School Board, I know that the first school board meeting of the year, which takes place the week before the official start of school, is usually comprised of wrapping up board business from the previous year and preparing for the upcoming school year. Indeed, when I reviewed the agenda over the weekend in preparation for the August 29, 2023 meeting, I did not find anything out of the ordinary. There were no items listed under unfinished business or new business. So you can imagine my shock and distress when I discovered that Brendan Galligan made a motion, seconded by Mary Wickens, to begin the process to remove me, an elected official, from the Westfield School Board. And Brendan Galligan's motion was supported by 4 other board members: Robert Benaccio, Kristen Sani-Schmelz, Sonal Patel, and Ken Diamond. Charles Goulinas voted no, and Layla Morelli abstained. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend that August 29th meeting, despite my intent to do so, due to a last-minute unexpected work obligation that arose that evening. Like anyone in my position, I asked myself, what motivated the Westfield School Board to take such a hasty decision without even asking me why I could not attend an emergency HIB appeal in the middle of the summer on July 18th that was scheduled with just 4 days' notice to the board. Nor had anyone emailed me between the week of August 22nd, when the board had a retreat, not a regularly scheduled board meeting, to ask me why I had not attended. Why would 6 of my colleagues on the school board, each of them elected by Westfield residents through a democratic process, seek to unilaterally remove me, another elected member of the board, from the Westfield School Board? Another important question that came to my mind is whether any board members discussed making this motion in advance of the meeting. Indeed, Brendan Galligan read a script from his computer, as shown in the video, that appeared to be prepared in advance with the intent to start the process of removing Sahar Aziz, were she absent, on August 29, 2023. Had Brendan Galligan's motion been planned as part of a collective attempt to remove me, the first Muslim and Arab woman elected to the Westfield School Board, a school board that has never had a non-white elected member in its history, with the exception of one African-American woman decades ago? Were special interest groups within Westfield and outside of Westfield working with Brendan Galligan, Mary Wickens, or other board members to undemocratically remove me as an elected official from the board? These were all questions that I didn't know the answer to. And most important to me, as a woman of color, I asked myself, why had Brendan Galligan been tracking my attendance so closely during the summer months when so many of us in the Westfield community travel out of town on vacation? And so that I made an unsuccessful accommodation request last year to start the meeting after the breaking of the fast. I cannot attend 2 consecutive meetings due to the inappropriateness of breaking my fast during an official and recorded board meeting. As our community increasingly diversifies along religious lines to reflect the rich diversity of New Jersey, our district must do better in being inclusive of our Hindu and Muslim students, staff, and board members. End quote. Every board member received that email 10 days before the March 28, 2023 meeting. Then President Brendan Galligan did not even respond to this email, nor did he respond to my request via another email to change the start time of the following meeting on April 20th to 8 p.m. so that I could attend it. Realizing that my body was surveilled, was being surveilled and policed by other male board members looking for an opportunity to remove me, I made a motion to move the start time of our next March meeting in 2024 to 8 p.m. in order to avoid my having to be absent again during Ramadan. And yet, 4 board members voted against that motion, including Brendan Galligan, Sonal Patel, Mary Wickens, and Layla Morelli. One could reasonably presume if the other board members, including Brendan Galligan, who made the motion on August 29, 2023, were concerned with having me present, then they would have voted in favor of moving the meeting up by merely 1 hour. When explaining her reason for voting no on my motion to change the time of our March 2024 meeting, President Sonal Patel stated in the public meeting on May 9, 2029, the following, quote, "We, the policy committee, started discussing multiple reasons why people might not be able to attend a meeting at 7 o'clock, whether it's for personal obligations, work obligations, religious obligations, and as professional and responsible adults. We felt as if everyone can come as possible when they can, and if they're late, there's no penalty for them being late. They're not penalized for being late because they're making that decision if it's something in their personal life that requires them not to be able to attend, or to attend late. That would just not be something that we would be held against them, and everyone would be responsible for managing their own schedule. End quote. That is available on the YouTube channel. How is voting to start the process to remove me not holding against me my absence because I'm on a family vacation on the July 18th emergency special meeting, which again was scheduled with only 4 days notice? How is it not punitive when the board will not wait to determine why I was absent on August 29th before voting to start the process to remove me? It is punitive, and indeed, it is even worse. I believe it's retaliatory for my advocacy to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion in our school calendar. This troubling record of intolerance by the Westfield School Board, coupled with this latest attempt to remove me on August 29, 2023, in my absence, sends a clear message to me, to my children, to our students, to our teachers, and to our entire Westfield community. You are not welcome here. We, the Westfield School Board, want to kick you, Sahar Aziz, off of our board by reversing a fair and free election with a unilateral expulsion of the only Muslim and Arab woman. You, Sahar Aziz, are an unwelcome outsider. But it is not only my minority religious and racial identity that I believe makes 6 members of the school board seek to remove me. It is the fact that I have been a vocal advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in my capacity as an elected board member. Indeed, I again raised the issue of including Muslim and Hindu students in setting our 2024-2025 school board calendar during our June 13, 2023 meeting, while expressing my support for accommodating our Christian and Jewish students on their major religious holidays by allowing them to celebrate with their families without having to miss exams or classwork. I also ask that the Westfield School District be equally inclusive of our Hindu and Muslim students. Less than 3 months after my dissent with the majority of my colleagues on the issue of Eid and Diwali, I now find myself subject to collective retaliation by the Westfield School Board. To silence me, I believe they want to kick me off the board, notwithstanding that I am not a political appointee. And I was not selected by a vote of this board. I was selected by the voters. And because the United States is a democracy, not an autocracy, it is the same voters through elections who decide whether a board member shall no longer serve. I am here because Westfield residents voted to put me here for a 3-year term equal to all of the other board members. The timing of the vote on August 29th reinforces my belief that the board's actions have nothing to do with enforcing an attendance policy intended to cover meetings scheduled in advance during the school year, not emergency special meetings scheduled in the middle of the summer in July and August. I believe the motivations behind this extraordinary vote is to expel this Muslim Arab woman who supports diversity, equity, and inclusion from the school board. As a mother and an educator at the university level, I am deeply troubled with this blatant example of intolerance and racial animus. The Westfield School Board's actions put into serious question whether it can treat our Muslim, Hindu, and other minority students with fairness, impartiality, and equality. If they do not hesitate to engage in what I believe is unlawfully motivated behavior against me, an elected official, a highly educated woman of color, then how will they exercise their authority to ensure our school district is free of discrimination and provide the same quality education to all of our students, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, and immigrant status? This attack against me in the form of an attempted expulsion causes me to personally lose faith in their ability to do so. It also reinforces my belief in the necessity of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our education system so that we do not prepare the next generation of leaders in the United States to abuse policies, abuse laws, or other forms of authority they've been granted by the state, to exclude minorities from elected office, or to deter women of color from running for elected office and remaining engaged in the political process. Being the first in your racial and religious community to be elected to public service is hard, precisely because of these types of situations. You find yourself subjected to heightened scrutiny. Your body is policed and surveilled to determine when you were absent, when you were present, when you arrived, when you left. while members of privileged ethnic or religious identity groups are, in the word of President Sonal Patel, not penalized for having to juggle work and family obligations that may make them late or absent, for going on vacation with their families that may make them not always on call to attend emergency meetings set at the last minute in the middle of the summer. Instead, the privileged majority is granted grace and empathy and professional courtesy that come with the benefit of the doubt rather than suspicion and hostility. Viewing these facts as a whole, it appears that the Westfield School Board members may have retaliated against me and subjected me to discrimination in violation of the New Jersey law against discrimination and the free speech clauses of the federal and state constitutions. Today is a low point for the Westfield School Board. I am truly saddened and disappointed that this school board's vote on August 29, 2023 sends a message to our minority students that we are not committed to due process, to equality, and to anti-discrimination. But despite what I believe was an unlawful vote, I encourage my fellow Westfield residents not to allow this fiasco to deter you from remaining civilly and politically engaged in our society. I encourage women of color to run for local, state, and federal office. Do not allow others to deter you through harassment tactics. Do not allow others to intimidate you from speaking up and engaging in civil debate. We all belong here. We all have a right to exercise our free speech rights, to express our views on important public policy issues without retaliation. And for these reasons, it is truly my honor and my privilege to have been elected to this position by my fellow Westfield residents, the voters. And I plan to continue to remain focused on the issues that impact our students, including robust enforcement of diversity, equity, and inclusion laws and policies. Thank you.
Can we have a vote?
Sahar Aziz,
Abstain.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Ken Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan, Charles Delinas,
Yes.
Leyland Morelli,
Yes.
Sonal Patel,
Yes.
Kristen Sonic-Schmelz,
Yes.
Mary Wiggins.
Yes.
I would just like to read a brief comment before we adjourn. As President of the Board of Education, I want to take a moment to reiterate our commitment to our students and our school community. I'd like to focus our attention on the district's mission to educate all students to reach their highest potential as well-rounded and engaged citizens who value individual differences and embrace diversity. I also want to highlight the goals of our 5-year strategic plan. They are: 1, deepen the learning experiences of all students by expanding the scope of educational programs offered; promote school culture, programs, and practices that prioritize wellness; 3, increase diversity, equity, and inclusivity across academic and extracurricular programs; 4, strengthen the relationship between the schools, the district, and the community; and 5, develop a comprehensive finance and facilities plan that will allow the district to achieve all other aspects of this strategic plan. We are committed to working with each other and with the staff, students, families, and community members to achieve these goals. I want to thank the staff, students, families, and community members for their support. Our partnership is strong, and together we will continue to strive to prepare all of our students for a successful future. Excuse me. And if there are no other comments, I would like to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second? Or no, all in favor? Say aye. Thank you.